Hey, before we get this video started, I thought you might enjoy seeing where the editing actually happens. This is in a sunroom at our house, and you'll see that there's a lot of little miniature cars all around the editing suite. And I'm going to share a little bit about what those cars are because they're from my dad's collection. And I use them as inspiration, and it brings back a lot of memories as I look at them. So I'm going to turn this camera around and I'm just going to take you on a quick little tour of what those little replicas mean. So here we go. First up, you have a NASCAR Dodge Daytona Charger, or Charger Daytona in the correct order. This was originally a car that would have been number 71 back in the day, and Dad flipped the number to 17, which turned out to be my favorite number. It's actually my birth date in July. And he actually put my name, I actually went by the name Buddy when I was little, and he put it on the door. So that's kind of like the flagship of the collection for me as far as special memories, because he built it for me. And I was very, very little when he built it. So we've had it since the kit was new in 1969 or 70. I would have been 4 or 5 years old when he assembled it, so that's kind of a cool deal. And then in that same vein, he also built a dirt track car that had a fictitious Buddy's Mobile on the side of the car. Just kind of giving me a shout out. I think it was built around the same time. We joke about how my name became Buddy. There's a lot of jokes about how that happened, but seriously, he served in Vietnam, which is appropriate because I'm shooting this on Memorial Day. So thank you to all the folks that gave their lives up for our freedom. But he served in Vietnam, and while he was away, he would write home, "How's my little buddy doing?" And it kind of stuck. So that's how that happened. Moving on, that little green car right there is a replica of his first car, which was I think a 51 Chevy Fleetline. Don't quote me on that, 50 or 51, somewhere in there. And then he has a little replica of his second car, which is a 55 Chevy two-tone. This is a 58 full custom convertible Chevy that he built. I'm gonna take this one out for a quick second because he did a really cool thing. He used paper clips to make a custom grille. And it has a Lone Wolf license plate on the front, and that meant you didn't have a club back then. You were searching. Super cool car culture back in the day. And then, of course, he had a very diverse taste in models. This is the Challenger one, which is the land speed record car built by Mickey Thompson. So cool replica of that. This is one of my personal favorites. I don't know what it is about this Ford convertible, but it's got like a shiny finish, except on the very front cap, like it was modified. And just in the drag racing world, that's just a cool looking car. This car, for some reason, was special to him. I wish I could ask him why, but out of all the cars in his collection, this one actually sat in a clear case out in his shop in Alabama toward the end of his life. And I don't know why it was special to him, but it's a 63 split window Stingray, kind of a road race car. So it's got to be here because I knew it was special to him. And then another land speed car. This was a custom made car. I think it was maybe a future car. I'll have to think about what that was. Maybe a Bonneville is what it was called by Pontiac before they used the name officially. And he made it into a land speed car with a fin on the back. And that little yellow trailer, I remember playing with it as a kid and towing like my project model cars around behind my trucks and stuff. So glad I found that. This is a Scarab, I think is what they call it. I know nothing about it, but I just think it is so cool. It was molded in that blue color, and then he added the white graphics and numbers, so super cool. And then lastly, a Mild Custom, very, very representative of what he would have seen around town as a 20-year-old kid. It's a 1960 Pontiac Bonneville, no wheel covers, white wall tires. It actually inspired me to take the wheel covers off of the Chevelle at one point because I love that look with the white wall tires and the black steel wheels. So there you go, just a little bit of background on just a few of the models from Dad's collection. We have lots more, but these are the ones that are special enough to sit out here and inspire me while I work. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now on to the episode. So So to John's garage, we put these BMR suspension parts on that car. All right, so let's go over the parts that we're going to be installing on the Camaro. As you remember, it has like a noise it's making in the rear end, and when we were doing the front end over at Sammy's house, we realized that the rear bushings were pretty much non-existent. So rather than stamping new bushings into the factory housings, we decided to upgrade. And we upgraded to a BMR suspension kit. It comes with lower control arms. What's cool about these is they're gray, which is kind of subtle, but they also have greasable ends on both ends. That's one thing the factory doesn't have. That's one of the reasons you get so many squeaks in these 4th gen Camaros. Same on the Panhard bar. This locates the differential side to side underneath the car. Greasable both ends. The hardware was a separate kit you have to order, which I went ahead and did that. I also went with the grease they recommend. And of course, my favorite, they threw in decals. One of those will definitely go on the shop door. So that is what we're going to be installing on the Camaro. First step of the process, get the old parts off. Okay, so step number 1, we're going to release this nut bolt combo, and the Panhard bar will drop down. We'll do the opposite to the other side. This is a good chance to compare the OEM with the BMR. You can see the open channel at the bottom, and you'll notice there's no grease fitting on either end. Not in bad shape, actually, but it is the correct length, which is always good to check. So now we go for control arms. Here we go. So here's your rear mounting point. You're going to want to support the differential with a jack. I'm only going to do one side at a time so that we have support on the opposite side. So we're going to start right there with that rear bolt, and then go get the front one, put the new one in, and you want to make sure you put your grease fittings down so that you can reach them when it's actually installed in the car. So that's what we're going to do now. All right, so we got the back one loose, but I can't get the bolt out, so we're going to work on this front one next. And again, I've got the differential supported by a floor jack, because once I loosen this bolt, in theory, eventually there'll be nothing holding this side of the differential up. So let's see how it goes. That's unfortunate. Whew. All right, you got to recognize when you're missing a tool that you vitally need and taking these control arms off. Very tight spaces, so you can't get a regular impact wrench in there. It just so happens my son-in-law has a Milwaukee right angle impact that I gave him that I never used. Now I need it. So I'm gonna run down to his house and grab that and borrow it from him. He lives right around the corner. Speaking of him, this is his latest design on the Chevelle t-shirts for the Malibu that I drove in high school. That's my vision for it, tunnel ram and all. So anyway, I'm gonna run that shirt down to him. That's his. Grab that tool, and we're gonna jump right back on the project. All right, so I got the right angle impact wrench from Jacob. Great excuse to take the Chevelle out on a beautiful sunny day. Like I said, they live right down the street around the corner. So yeah, so there you go. Head back to the house. This tool should make a big difference. Nice bonus of the visit. My daughter had an ice cold Coca-Cola waiting for me. Woo-hoo. My mood's already better. All right, let's see if this tool will help us out. Okay. Woo. Man, it's fighting me, but that's normal. So, shut the door to the shop because I got my first mosquito bite on my hand. It's 5 o'clock. Believe it or not, they can find me even before dark. Other thing I did is I went ahead and took the wheel off. I don't know why I was being so stubborn, trying to do all that with the wheel on. That was silly. Got a whole lot more room now. I got the back of the control arm off, and now I'm still fighting that front bolt nut combo, but I know I'm gonna get it. So here we go. Just for the record, this did absolutely nothing because it won't fit in there. Ah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Woo! Success. Woo! All right, so it's lower control arm control arm. How about take two? Lower control arm I can't say control arm. Lower control arm comparison time. Man. So here's your factory one, open channel, original bushings from General Motors circa 1997. These suckers squeak, especially in the wintertime. New ones, same length, greasable, of course, as we mentioned before. So it's going to be really awesome, and a new hardware to put it all in. So we're going to put this one on. Remember, grease fittings down so these you can grease them once you get them installed. Here we go. I decided to go ahead and pre-grease them while they're up here in the air on the bench, easier to get to. And what I discovered is if you pump some grease in there, it'll start skeeting out of the side right there. See how that's kind of making that come out right there? That's what you want right there. I may have overdid that one a little bit because it actually made that rubber part kind of stick out. That could be a problem when I go to try to drive it up in the car. I'm gonna go a little easier on the next one. There we go. And the white grease is actually the grease from BMR. That red was left over from a buddy coming over and greasing his Jeep the other day. So I've got a combination of the greases. That's okay. Now I'm going to go and do the Panhard bar, and then we're going to start installing them. Okay, if all goes well, this should just slip right into place where the old one was. So far, so good on that end. And yep, good on that end. And we're gonna use some new hardware. My fingers are so greasy from the new grease. Can't hardly grab nothing. See, they have nylon lockers on these. That's kind of nice. And I like how they have the washers as well. So, looks like it's going to be best to go just like the factory did with the bolt through this side. Whoops. Maybe just put in one in at a time. Don't forget your washer. Yep. Nice. torque that in a minute once I look up the spec. Ooh. Success! One arm installed, not torqued. A little tip for you when you're trying to torque these lower control arm bolts, if you'll get that wrench that's holding the other side of the nut bolt combination past that emergency brake cable right there, you can let it press against just that metal bracket. Just don't let it get into the brake line, but that's a nice natural place for it to hold for you to keep on tightening without another set of hands. Finally found a situation where the Milwaukee is going to help. Wheel off inside, wrench on the other side. Let's see if we can make this a lot faster. Oh yeah, I love when the plan comes together. Woo! What that was? What was that? That crashing sound I heard in the background was my horn button for my original steering wheel from the Chevelle. Yikes. It was already kind of messed up, but it's next level messed up now. Oh man, I'm gonna have to tape that back together again. Might be time just to let it go and put a new one in there. Oh well. All right, just time for torquing. Tight confines again. All right, this one fought me more than anything else. This is the passenger side of the Panhard bar. Ended up having to get the floor jack back out and raise the differential to get the hole lined up. Then I had to get a pry bar and pry against the coil spring to force the bolt through the hole. And it's finally done. That is the last bolt of the project. I'm gonna tighten them up, torque them down, throw the wheels on, and it's test drive time. All right, test drive time. And I'm happy to report it solved the problem. Woo! Thank goodness. The BMR lower control arms and Panhard bar have taken all the noise away. Man, I am so thankful. There's nothing worse than spending hours working on a project and don't get the results. So fortunately, that is not the case today. So we can check this off the old whiteboard. Total cost of this project was $303.57. So there you go. I tell you one thing about today, there's no solar eclipse. I forgot to bring my sunglasses with me and I am blinded by the light. Well, anywho, I appreciate you watching today. If you haven't subscribed already, do that for me and give me a thumbs up, share it with some friends. But most importantly, stay tuned for future episodes because you never know what we're going to tackle next on John's Garage. And thanks for watching. See you next time.